is No Gifts, Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gumption. Hey everyone, I'm Steve Noviello.
Hello, I'm Jenny Anchondo.
And I'm laughing because poor Spider in the booth over there. I mean, we just get to talking in between episodes, and it's like 10 minutes of, I'm like, oh wait, are you waiting on us? Because we could talk to each other all day.
I kind of wish we would have recorded what we were just talking about.
We should do like a web extra or like a whatever. What's the equivalent in
like
podcast?
Truly unfiltered,
like lost episodes of us just
talking as we walk out, like blah 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 blah. Yeah. I know. It's
How are you?
Never ending. You know what? I'm still in the blur. I'm still in the fog. I feel like it's.
So I've been seeing the pictures of the babe of Gemma.
Yeah.
So when I met her, I mean, it was that
you
soon.
met her like you were. I mean, only like 5 people have met her, and you were one of the first.
But she was so tiny and so fragile and so light. I mean, not that she's the ox that Brighton is, but like she's on her way.
An ox. Heath calls her Hoss. I don't think that's a compliment. I don't know what that is for her, but yeah, she's like gaining. We still do like the triple feed situation where she like nurses and then has a bottle. So that's like helped her to gain weight. And we're going to her 4-month appointment coming up. And I'm so excited to find out how much she weighs, to find out, because she was like on the edge of the percentiles, which was very stressful. Like, you know, when your kid's in like the 5 to 10 percentile, it's incredibly stressful. And like the doctors like sit you in a room and they're like, let me see you, nurse. Like, this is, what are you screwing up here?
Alive.
Yeah, it's really, I can't even explain how stressful it is. So then to have come full circle and have her looking like a normal size and like,
I mean, I see pictures of her and she's like, you know, like doing her yoga, but like, you know,
she does do yoga.
I'm sure she does.
We actually shot a story at Bar and Baby for work, and I was so nervous about it because she just is not super calm. She's not like that chill baby, probably because I'm not like that chill mom.
Shush.
But she sat through the whole thing or like she participated. She, you know, I did ballet with her in the carrier and we, you know, did things. So yeah, she's coming along. I'm just getting used to being back to work, and it's a whole another level of hard.
Yeah.
You know, like
to be away or to like mentally make room for everything.
It's just like, when do I make dinner? When do I work out? When do I get my 10,000 steps? When do I talk to my friends? When, you know, it's just the capacity. It's being away for sure. I don't think that mothers are intended to be away, or fathers really. I don't think anybody's intended to be away from the children that they created so soon. However, I do love my job. And if I did not go back, I would not have it anymore. And they would have to replace me. It's not their fault. It's just, they would have to replace me. It doesn't make them a bad employer. That is just the way that it works. You have to either go back or you have to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then hope that eventually, whenever you feel comfortable, which might come up sooner rather than later, that there's something for you. So.
Right. It's called Inside DFW with Jenny Anchondo.
Yeah.
It would be awkward for Sally Jones to be hosting.
This is not your show. So I'm honestly struggling with it. Like, what am I doing here? So it's just, I was on such a good like workout routine. And then
this might be a crude question, but like speaking of like working out and whatnot, doesn't like breastfeeding, like people, like,
it's the biggest crock. No.
Oh, really?
It is like complete.
Because you look, I mean, you also, again, it's been a long time since you haven't been pregnant.
It's also very enormous.
No,
that is like such a misnomer. I think for some people that does supposedly work, and supposedly
we're talking about weight loss because of breastfeeding.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it works to keep a baby alive.
That part does work.
No, that part does work. What it's intended for, but no, I think that they tell you that in order to encourage breastfeeding. I swear.
The Ozempic of breastfeeding.
I swear, and I don't know. Like, let me know if you're actually don't let me know if you're the mom that's like, I breastfed and like all the weight came off. I'm like back to my normal weight. Oh my gosh, I'm smaller. This is crazy. Like, I've not experienced that. I've been working incredibly hard and seeing incredibly minimal results. I think that for some moms, that doesn't happen until after you stop breastfeeding, because there's like some hormonal things that have to be in play in order to like make the milk. And also you're still getting up. I mean, for me, in order to have enough milk, I'm still getting up at 4 a.m. to feed her. So I think that's not great.
I'm going to start texting you because I'm on Good Day for another month.
I've been watching you guys. And sometimes every other day I'll like not do it because it will kind of get me going. And I try to go back to bed for like at least 45 minutes or something afterwards. And if I start watching you guys, I'm like revved and ready to go. Right. But yes, I am up. I'm feeding. I would like to get into but also like I could work out after that, after I pump at 4 a.m. But what kind of life is that?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that the intention of my 4 a.m. newscast to get people up and started for the day is working against your will.
It completely works. I'm like, turn it off. This is terrible.
Stop telling me to start my day.
I'm so excited.
I don't want to fill my coffee cup.
No. Okay, we got off on a tangent, but thank you for letting me indulge. And if you are a mom who breastfeeds and gets back to her pre-baby weight, I'm disinterested in hearing from you. But if you're in my situation, then hit me up.
Let's have lunch.
Yes. Okay. Children and discipline.
Okay. So here's the thing. And I know I joke, but I don't make light of your journey and your struggle and whatnot. But I am kind of jealous that I feel like you have really missed 6 years or 4 years, if the kids had been 2 years apart, of your children arguing with each other.
I hear it's terrible.
And I feel like I think you win here because Brighton will be 7 next month.
Yeah.
Or wherever we are.
Yeah.
May, right?
May. Mm-hmm.
Gemma is not 7. She's a newborn.
Can't fight
there's essentially a 7-year difference. Like there's not a whole lot of like, that's mine. I want to play with that. Like you have skipped.
I totally win.
All of that.
Yeah.
All of it.
I feel like I don't see your boys. Are they doing this in the privacy of
people
when guests aren't around? Because I don't see them doing this. I don't want to not validate your emotions right now, but I just don't see them being punks.
So people ask if they get along, and I always tell them it depends which 10 minutes of the day we're talking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are just loving and like just hugging on each other and and then other times they are not. Like at all. Like we just had on my new late night show, we just had Chris Gronkowski on as one of our guest panelists.
I love him.
Really nice guy.
Yeah,
like super nice guy.
Dad of I think 4.
Dad of 4, 3 boys, 1 girl. So I was like, here I thought having all boys was genetic.
Yeah.
Who actually also his wife, and he talks about this on the show. I'm not airing his dirty laundry. They told her she wouldn't have children.
Incredible.
Said,
oh my gosh. And look at her having 4.
Well, they got a second opinion. She was misdiagnosed. And now 4 children later, 3 boys and a girl, here they are.
I'm so glad you shared that. I think people often, it's so devastating that you just go into your hole and give up.
Right. And think, okay, let's Anyway, but I was like, you can't not ask him about what it was like to grow up with, there's 5 of them, 4 of whom became NFL football players. The other one, I was like, what happened to the other one? Like, did he become a physicist or something? But he played professional baseball.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So same.
So essentially. So I was like, but he was like, it was an all, because we were talking, because he has kids, his oldest is Jacob's age. We should all get together. And then he's got one that's Hudson's age. And then he's got 2 more.
With that third row.
Actually, he's got a kind of a newborn. Now. So we probably all should get together. Anyway. But he was like, it was like an all-out brawl every day, like 5 boys. Like, we were just, and he's like, we're up at 4 a.m., like all for like practice. My mom made us every meal, and really kind of just a nice guy. And it sounds like his mom, I was like, is there a tribunal for her canonization? Like what? Like what? Talk about. But anyway, so
are you breaking up fights with the boys? Like, what do you do when the boys when it's the bad 10 minutes?
Here, that's actually funny that you should ask, because I'm starting to think that I'm intervening too quickly.
Okay.
So like if they because you can hear the tone change, right? Like it's like when you're in the newsroom and like there's a car chase and like the energy in the room shifts and like the things are happening and the scanner's going off and but people are trying to make phone calls. Can we get on the air? Who's here? Grab a tie. Like, okay, same kind of situation.
It's like, so true.
That's it, right?
Does Heather have a jacket in there somebody can borrow?
Where's Noviello? Like, so I'll hear them entertaining each other and whatever. And then like I can hear the energy shift, the dialogue shift, and they're going to start, like, ow, Jake, whatever they're hit, whatever. And sometimes I'm like, I think I need to start letting this just play out. Like, let them kick the shit out of each other and be done with it.
Yeah, I've noticed that school kind of does that now.
Like, lets it go.
I don't know Hudson's age, but I feel like at Jacob and Brighton's age, that's sort of the MO
Like
on
a Fight
the
Club situation?
No, not like physical fights, but just like disagreements. If I go to the playground as often as possible, or like when I was on leave and stuff with Jim, I would go and just poke around. And it just seems that what the age appropriate thing, according to the people that do this for a living, was when the children would come up and complain like he did this or she did this, and then they would ask like, well, what did he say when you asked him to stop?
Right.
And they're like, well, I came to tell you.
Right. No, I do that, which reminds me of work. Like people will be like, I got ripped off by this such and such. I'm like, well, what did they say when you asked them why you were? Well, I didn't ask them. I came to you. Okay, well, let's start with that. But like, I'm thinking like,
you're talking about like dangerous physical fights?
Like, and again, I think everything's dangerous, but like, do I let it play out a little bit more?
Yeah.
But like sometimes, so, okay, I'll give you an example. So we had to, did you punish Brighton? See, and I feel like that's like,
it's not because I'm so like Mother Earth, calm, chill. She kind of like
doesn't warrant it.
Yeah. And I'm not, she has not
no
like,
one to fight with.
Exactly. She has nobody to fight with at home, first of all. Second of all, she's very hard on herself. So like if I were to say,
she's already there.
Yeah. Like if something at school or like, oh, I heard you weren't paying attention in this, like she would have already gotten the look from the teacher and realized she needed to pay attention.
I remember when was it Jacob? We were living in Kessler still, so definitely Jacob, maybe Hudson as well. And something had happened, and he was old enough to know better. And I was giving a consequence that was like a day away or something. And my mom said to me, it has to be immediate. It has to be cause and effect.
Oh, they don't understand
too young
that.
to understand that what I did right now is causing me to lose something, a party on Saturday or whatever the thing was. So I try and make it as immediate as possible.
That's a good point by your mom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on.
She knows.
Sage advice from mom. But so they have chores around the house, right? Mm-hmm. One of which is setting the table.
Okay.
I mean, you would think that setting the table is like there's four of us. There's like you. Yeah. So somebody does chargers and dishes. You
do chargers every night?
Yeah. We don't have a tablecloth.
I mean,
so I don't want to scratch the table.
Neither do I. Okay, I like that.
Okay, not elevated. The point of my story.
Okay, I know. Okay, keep going.
So somebody does chargers and dishes and somebody does napkins and forks, right? So first of all, they argue over who gets to do what. Like it's the same amount of things, guys. Like it's not a big deal.
Like they want to do a certain thing or they don't
For some reason, chargers and plates is easier. I don't know why, but is it? I don't know. So we had to come up with like, okay, now we're going to rotate. Like this night, last night you did it. This night, so
right. That's why I don't have it.
Right.
You're right.
So here we go. The other night, or probably we could go at this point. Okay, they're doing, so first of all, we're like, there's tension about like who's doing chargers and who's doing, so whatever. Jacob was doing chargers and plates. Hudson was doing napkins and forks. Now you've been to my house. There are 8 chairs at our dining room table. There are 4 of us. So we sit like down
like
one
in
section, right? And we essentially not assigned seats, but we all sit in the same seat every night. We don't really rotate or whatever else. So Jacob put out the chargers and the plates. Well, Hudson, who wanted to do chargers and plates, comes behind him and decides he's going to rearrange them into other places around the table.
Oh.
Well, Mr. Type A, this is where things go, like flipped his was not having it. That's not where they go. That's not where people sit or whatever. And I was like, so now it's like, okay, like what? Hudson, like you can't, like that was Jacob's job and you have to respect that was his job, whatever. I mean, and then Doug was calling one of them, Jacob he stacked the plates and the charge because he had to go upstairs to wash whatever it was, Doug needed him. He took all of the plates and chargers off the table and carried them upstairs with him so that
like you will not control.
You will not move these. But so I was like, I have had it.
So petty. Like, I love it.
It was so petty. I didn't know whether or not to be proud or horrified.
I'm
right?
proud.
I mean, I had done Good Day that morning. I had been up since 1:55. Like it's now 6:00 in the evening.
No,
I'm
you
cooking
need to be in
dinner.
bed.
I was like, that's it. Like enough. Like bedtime is right after dinner. That's it. We're going to bed right after dinner, which to me, I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, exactly. You don't do your routine.
So they were like, no. Because that's rare. That's the first time I've ever done that. And he's 7, right? And the other one's 5, right?
So
like
fine.
it's not, they're good. And let me just say, they're good kids. They really are. They're really great kids. But I was like at the end of my rope, and like this is ridiculous. We have got to solve this problem. You cannot change your behavior, so I'm going to change it for you. Like I'm going to do something that reminds you. So Hudson, of course, who can be a little bit of a drama queen,
say.
like turns it on, like no. I mean, like the idea that you would have to go to bed right after dinner. So now I'm like, now I have a screaming child. Like I've got chargers. I got a stack of plates upstairs. My dinner. I mean, it's just a whole thing. So we sit and so Doug was like, hey, he texted me. He goes, let's just have an easy night. Like, how would you feel about like holding back on the punishment and like, let's just come up with
you already said it.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, I've said it.
There's no going back.
And now that Hudson has thrown a fit about it, now I'm like, I am doubling down. Like,
well, yeah, because otherwise then Hudson will throw a fit every time you do something with his chargers.
Might or might not already happen. So, right. So, I mean, it was just, Hudson like was devastated by the idea, whatever. So we go upstairs, we go to bed, and I was like, okay, here's the situation, because it's now 7:00.
Oh, and I'm like my clock is going off. Like, you need to get in bed.
I can pull off an 8:00 bedtime when they go to bed normally when I do the morning show, but like, hey, like we have a chance to be at 7. So now I'm like, okay, I'm clearly VP punishment at this point, because I was like, I just need your support. I'm not looking for feedback.
Doug's VP
like
peacefulness.
You will be VP snoring in a minute, because I know he will hit that pillow at 7:02 and be out. Right. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give them each a sketch pad and a book. Like you can lay in your bed and you can use your sketch pad and you can use your book, whatever. So great. So I put them in, they're like, okay, like, they're like, this is your fault. And I was like, no, this is your fault. Like, we never have to do this again, ever. Like this, you have made choices that have resulted in this consequence. If you don't make those choices anymore, we don't ever have to do this again, guys. Like this could be one and done, but that's up to you, right? So I put them into bed. I'm brushing my teeth. Jacob comes in with his sketch pad and his pencil, and he was like, would you play hangman with me? And I was like, okay, we are not grasping the concept here of this punishment. Like, I understand like on vacation. Right? Like you've got a pad and a pencil, and like you're like, well, I have no one to play with. Like what? I was like, and I'm like, play with each other. Like, are you supposed to be playing? You share a room. Like you're both in there.
Go to sleep.
It was just a mess.
That is really difficult, and I empathize with Doug, like can we just have a peaceful night?
Totally.
But it's like, you can't. I feel like in order to get discipline, you just, some days are just not going to be peaceful.
I know.
Like it's really hard. And as you were bringing this up, I was going back when we did have to discipline Brighton, because there was definitely like a couple years there where we were really struggling with do we do timeout? And I remember researching timeout heavily. And
I'm shocked.
I know, sorry. But I mean, I just like, is it good for them? Is it bad for them? Are you supposed to call it something else? Because there's like these other names for it.
Right.
But it ultimately is like a timeout.
At Hudson School, they call it a moment.
Yeah, like exactly. But
having a moment.
It's the same, having a moment.
Like you're a 40-year-old Jewish
too.
woman. Having a moment.
And then some say that you need to like lean into them more and hug them more and be with them more. And I definitely understand that. But then sometimes you also need a moment.
Right.
And so like sometimes mom needs a timeout. It was a very perplexing like couple of years. Brighton used to do this thing that we called starfish, which would make her immobile, arms, legs out. And then just like moving. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see like this. So you couldn't pick her up. And I remember her doing this at the Galleria Mall, and my mom was there. And we were trying to go down the escalator, and she was just long enough so that we couldn't even pick her up to get her down the escalator in the starfish position. And my mom was like, we're going. Like basically like we're leaving her here. Like this is where we get tough love. And I was like, oh my gosh, are we going
to Galleria.
Walk away from her?
Isn't that TV's Jenny Anchondo abandoning her child at the mall?
Starfish?
Yeah.
But I will say, after my mom sort of like intervened and had a little more tough love, because I was just going to like pick her up in the starfish position and I guess carry her out. I don't know. That was the
turning point.
That was the turning point. That was the end of the starfish. Yeah. But we definitely had like just more tantrums, just like high emotion, high volatility during that like 3 to 4 age category. And now it's just dealing with emotions. Like I know that if I punish her. Like, she's already hard enough on herself.
You know, I was reading this thing, an article.
Those old
it's been a long day.
things.
And they were saying, like, if you had an adult that was like clearly an emotional wreck, like, would your solution be putting them in a room by themselves? Or like, would you sit down with them and hug them? And like Hudson, you remember, he used to be like way more emotional about like literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very much hey, let me hold you and hug you and rock you and sing to you. And like, let's kind of get through this like emotional roller coaster together. But yeah, punishment sucks. And I remember when I was a kid, my mom, this hurts me more than it hurts you, you know, like, and yes, like I get it. And the other thing is that not that I'm a total empty threat person, but like I will allude to things like, listen, like you better X, Y, and Z, or we're not going to that birthday party later.
But would you actually not go then?
Are you kidding? What the hell else am I going to do with them? Like, that's the problem. Not going to the birthday party is a punishment for me.
For you. Yeah, that's why you can't do those.
I know.
Don't do those.
I know, but
that is like so, don't do that. I don't know much. I really don't. Thus the name of this podcast, but I know not to offer a punishment that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that.
I know.
Yeah. You know that, especially if they said no gifts, please, because then you get to go have your child entertained and not take a gift. Maybe they'll have some Chick-fil-A for the parents, sparkling water if you're lucky.
I can't, like, I wish that I don't know, like again, they're good kids, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't, but I also, I don't know, like, I just wish they'd stop arguing with each other.
Do you think that sharing a room has anything to do with it?
You know what? I think that they kind of love that. Like, I listen to them sometimes, like just talking to each other at night and like whispering to each other and like, and again, I do think that we are getting to the point kind of sooner than I thought we would, where more so Jacob is like he, and this like really hurts my heart. Like he calls him Hudson and you're annoying. I'm like, no, we don't say that.
That is like the worst.
I mean, like
word.
you kind of are, but like we don't, like and I'll say, you guys are brothers. Like you're going to be brothers forever. Like this isn't how we, treat each other and whatever. And then also sometimes I'm like, just why not the two of you? Like I'm going to give each of you a sack of like a, like what is it, a tennis ball and a sock, and turn my back for 5 minutes and see what happens.
Just let him throw down.
Just see who comes out ahead. I think we'll end that.
TBD about who would actually come
seriously,
out ahead.
100%.
Yeah. He doesn't mean annoying. Maybe he does mean annoying, but for some reason, why is that word like such a...
It hurts my heart.
Such a dagger.
But also because they also, like you do that, but then you also, and I think that Jacob is also, he's at that age where he's old enough that Hudson is, listen, like you kind of, as the younger kid, and again, you totally lucked out because you're not going to experience this. Like Hudson is, you don't want him to miss out on another couple of years of still being like a little kid, because we kind of always defer to the older kid. And, right? You know what I mean? Like the elevated, whatever. So like you want to still whatever and have stuffed animals and whatever, whatever the case is. And on the flip side of that, like sometimes when Jacob decides he wants to be in that mood, like I'm like, just give it to Hudson. Like he's younger and whatever, kind of thing. Because I do think that Jacob is kind of turning a corner in terms of like, but then they'll
maturity,
right? But then they'll also be like, like there's this thing like after bath where they'll be like, don't go downstairs without me. And then like they're like fighting over who goes down the stairs first. I'm like, stand next to each other. Hold hands.
Oh, that is tough.
And like walk down the steps one by one together.
So you have that, but think about all the time that you're talking about them playing with each other.
That you didn't have.
No, fill that in with, that's me playing with Brighton.
12 years. Well, and like, now Gemma.
Yeah, now Gemma, which I truly don't mind, but it's also like, who's going to cook dinner? Like she will legitimate. Oh my
according
gosh,
to Heath,
I cannot. I am so over all three of you. But she'll give me a guilt trip. Like if we're playing, like we're in the backyard and we're like kicking the ball around or something. I'm like, okay, I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And she's like, you've barely played with me. And I've played with her like every second since I've gotten home from work. And then she's like, it feels like you're just always leaving to cook food.
Well, then why can't you say,
I'm sorry that I'm like
feeding you,
giving you sustenance and actually producing sustenance from my body for your sister. Yeah. So like she'll do the biggest guilt trips. And I've been playing with her like a sibling, like getting in there, getting on the ground. Like
You're like, I'm going into the kitchen to pluck a live chicken to feed you.
Well, it's like,
could you involve her in dinner making?
She doesn't like to cook anymore. She's retired from cooking because I used to do that. She has her own knives. She has her own. She likes to like wash potatoes, wash tomatoes, wash apples. There's like a few things she likes to wash, cucumbers. But then there's some others that like she doesn't like to do carrots because she has to scrub too much in order to get them clean. And
it's funny, Hudson's into housework as well right now.
It's a great phase when they are.
Loves it. Loves it.
Send Hudson over.
Hudson will come and join you, and we hope that you come and join us every Tuesday morning. We've got a new episode that drops at 7 a.m., so don't miss it on your favorite podcast platform. Where are we these days?
Spotify,
Apple
iTunes.
Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon, Google Podcasts.
Literally everywhere.
Literally
YouTube.
everywhere. Yes, you can always catch up on old episodes or check out the new ones. And if you do nothing else today, go find yourself a friend you don't need to clean the house for. We'll see you soon.